Hi, I'm Megan.
Hi, I'm Zarina.
And today we are going to talk about whether or not B2B brands can find success on TikTok. I have to say that I was pretty skeptical about this initially, but after looking into it a little bit further, I think it is possible. What do you think, Zarina?
I do too. I think that I was skeptical because TikTok is such a young app, and many B2B brands themselves wonder if it's actually worth it. TikTok, as we've seen, has only recently launched an advertising process and hyperlinking capabilities for brands. So it's already more popular than LinkedIn, Twitter, and Snapchat. And right now it's showing no signs of slowing down.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, B2C brands have already jumped on this. But one example that I like is Chipotle. I think
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
likes Chipotle. Seeing a video of them making their guacamole is very satisfying. It's so good. I think it's just kind of an addictive app. Of course, it reminds me a lot of Vine in the way its medium works, and it's super addictive. Yeah, so of course we're seeing these B2C brands kind of jump on it
Yeah.
as most platforms go. They kind of get on it because consumers are really drawn to it, and it just makes sense.
It does.
For B2B, obviously it's more of a question about, is this going to drive clicks? Is it going to drive leads? What is the value in being on TikTok? And I think we are seeing examples of B2B brands that are already on TikTok. One really great one is the Washington Post. And it does fit who they are really well. And they went into it with a really smart plan. They did not go into it saying, we are going to start posting our hard-hitting news stories on TikTok right away. They went into it saying, we're going to connect with the audience. We're going to let them know that we understand how the platform works. We're going to be a little funny. We're going to be a little weird. There's one video of them talking about how to read a newspaper. And
Oh,
it's,
that's great. Yeah.
yeah, it's really funny. So, they started out that way, and then their plan was at the outset to do that and then move into that more hard-hitting news that they are typically known for once they've built up their audience. I think we did see them doing that a little bit earlier than they may have planned with the Black Lives Matter movement. That kind of, societally driven change in conversation just kind of push them there, and rightly so. So I think you also have to remember it's very fluid, and it's working for them, and it's allowing them to be part of a very important conversation and be present and educate their viewers, speak with their viewers. So it is important, and it is possible, as they've shown us.
Right, exactly. And I think the Washington Post is actually an interesting case that we've seen, just because we've seen brands tailor content to the young viewers that TikTok actually has. And a lot of the videos, although they might seem for the Washington Post a little unexpected, they were not necessarily catered as off-brand, which I think is the tricky topic here, just because the moment a brand seems that they're off-brand and that they're really trying to connect to an audience by doing something that they normally wouldn't, you lose this sense of authenticity.
Yeah.
And I think that most brands who make it big on TikTok were successful because their videos were catered to that audience. They were musical, silly, embraced pop culture, and then kind of leverage that by getting into more serious topics.
I think that's a really good point. I think you're hitting on something super important, is that just because don't necessarily think of the whole platform as off brand. Think of how you can show people who your brand is on that platform.
Right.
Show you can use that medium, you can use that platform to show who you are, and it might be a little bit uncomfortable. The risks are different. The risks look different. They feel different. So I think part of it is just being comfortable trying something new. And I think that's part of what we do every day, is we're trying something new to see what works best. We're always A/B testing. So it's one of those things where don't write the platform off because it seems like it would skew consumer, or it seems like it's off brand for you. I think you just have to kind of find your niche. And maybe your niche isn't teaching people how to read a newspaper.
Yeah.
Your niche is cooking videos. Maybe that has something to do with your brand. So there are ways that a brand can find connections with their audience, even if it doesn't seem, intuitive at first.
Right. And we're also facing right now, I think B2B has like a main issue because they're facing some restrictions in the app that don't necessarily cater to B2B goals. For example, for starters, the young audience, right? And then you have time restrictions on message delivery. Right now, I think we're looking at a demographic for TikTok between the ages of 16 to 24. But, with that being said, I think we can expect an older audience to arrive in due course, as we've seen time and time again, for example, with Facebook.
Yeah.
And we've seen, with our research, we've kind of seen B2B businesses and mainly B2C businesses using Instagram to share these captivating and cultural content. So to your point, arguably, now is the time for businesses to truly try to understand TikTok and use it as a platform. With that being said, I do think that TikTok has a long way to go. With the younger audience, there's not much for B2B brands to market to. And it might be a while before they do. But so while it's unlikely that right now we see a flood of B2B activity on the platform, I do think it's a great opportunity for them to kind of begin understanding the platform and really experimenting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you kind of touched on something there too with, the way we're seeing brands on Instagram as well. I mean, that has really, brands on Instagram has really grown from where it used to be. And I think there's a lot to be said for, how brands look at Instagram and how brands can look at TikTok as well. You don't have to put all the same content on all the same channels. You tailor your content to each channel, and you can find a place to have a presence in front of people that, they might be younger, but people age, so they'll also get older. And it's good to have a presence. And not only that, but your point about it being a young platform, it is a young platform. There aren't very many B2B brands. And while yes, that does kind of, that can make people shy away from it as a B2B brand, it's also a good reason to start trying things out. This is a good time to experiment. It's a good time to, like you said, get your feet wet, start understanding the platform. We're not saying you should necessarily, launch a full-scale TikTok channel or program, but start thinking about it and, keep an eye on the platform, because it will be important. It does seem like it's going in that direction, and it now is the time to start thinking about that.
And almost utilize it more. I think we've seen companies use TikTok for, what's interesting is that we've seen them use it for brand awareness rather than, as we've seen in the past, generating traffic or leads. And given the market, they really, use that platform to engage a younger audience and show a lighter side of themselves through videos, challenges, other strategies that you would normally see on this platform. And I think that given its unique nature, companies need to fully understand TikTok before using it as a platform. And to your point, like launching a whole full-blown campaign. But it's kind of an opportunity for them to be really creative and gain attention from their audience. A simple ad or sponsored influencer endorsement probably won't make the cut anymore as it would have on other platforms.
Yeah, it really is about getting creative and showing that side of your company. And I think every company has it. And you think about, also not just showing people who your brand are from your brand's name, but showing people who the people are behind your brand, because, that's what really makes a brand who they are the people behind it. So, you could also think about getting an executive on TikTok if they want their own personal one. We see that. We've seen a little bit more of that with B2B companies than, just the brand directly on TikTok at this point. But it's time to start thinking about it.
Yeah. And it's really cool actually, because they can seem almost somewhat more relatable on TikTok by showing this more innovative side to the business without necessarily jeopardizing their authenticity or integrity.
Yeah, and I think we talk about this a lot in technology, is just, general education for a younger group of kids, why you should go into STEM. And I think that there's a lot of value there for brands as well. If you're you're working on a, if you have an education initiative and you really want to get involved and you really want to make it known that you care, this is one way to show that young audience and get them interested and get them involved. And there certainly is value to it. You need to make sure you have the resources. You need, as for anything, a dedicated team. But don't think too hard about it. It's something to experiment with. It's an opportunity, and it's better to get started than not. I think
agree.
The bottom line. Yeah. Yeah. So, Zarina, do you have anything to add? Do you have any, I don't know. I don't want to end too early.
I know. But I think that almost is a great way of wrapping it up. It's just that, B2B brands definitely get on there, use the app to the best of your ability, kind of experiment a little bit. It's definitely the time. And as I've mentioned before in the beginning, we're not really seeing any signs of TikTok slowing down. So I think the audience is just going to expand more, expand to different demographics. And I think it's a good time for B2B businesses to truly find their niche on a new platform.